How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffledrowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a look at a brand new rumor, and I thought we'd jump right into it. So, first things first, this was posted on 4chan for those who do not know, so there's a lot of information here that could be false, keep that in mind. But then again, this is a rumor, so who knows what the truth could be. Now, there was included an image in this, which we're going to take a look at here. So, the image is seemingly of some sort of werewolf-looking thing. It's some sort of creature that looks like a nightly creature. I don't really know how to describe it, but it looks weird and creepy, and this was included in the post, so keep that in mind. Next up though, he says, "Hi, I am from the Spanish translation team in Madrid, and I have information regarding the Isle of Armor DLC and Crown Tundra DLC coming in June and October." So he's trying to confirm here when the actual dates for these games releases are, I guess, or when the releases for the actual DLC are, and he's trying to say here they're coming in June and October. Then he continues on saying here that the 22 new Pokemon will be overall in both DLC, including the announced ones. So that would imply that there's going to be, like, what, if we don't count all the announced Pokemon, like for example the legendary birds, that's 3 Pokemon, then you have the 2 Regis, that's 5, you've got Slowpoke and its 3 evolutions, that's 8 Pokemon, and then like add on top of that like probably a few more things, and you know, it's like what is really left there, not a lot, so it's not really much to work off of. Then he says there's going to be 10 hours of extra gameplay in both of the DLCs, so about what half of these base game is today. So basically there's going to be like half of the current base game as the DLC gameplay in this DLC. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that's going to work out. Gonna have to wait and see how it actually feels like and if it is true. There was originally plans to make a third Galar game, but the overheads at Nintendo wanted Game Freak to try out doing DLC for once. So far, from what he's heard from Nintendo are happy apparently. Then he says Lacolo and Lassetti are 2 brand new Pokemon that you will encounter early in the Isle of Armor DLC. There's a small ant-like creature that are very light in color. Think of them as walking oak trees. Lacolo is the masculine one for sword, and Lassetti is the feminine one for shield. Version exclusive Pokemon, apparently. Then he says there is a new Pokemon called Lupinor, which is a werewolf type Pokemon, and I guess this is the one that gets referenced to the image that he included, so it's a werewolf, I guess, that's what it was, didn't realize. That is available in the Isle of Armor. Similar to Druddigon, that it has no evolution at all. Similar stance to Lycanroc, but nothing like it design-wise. Many people will like this Pokemon. Well, we'll have to wait and see if that is true. Next is Eternatus, Zacian, and Zamazenta will have almost no connection to the new story of both of the DLCs, which is actually kind of good, as I personally find that the story from the DLC was kind of lacking, so it would be nice to see something totally different here that actually expands upon the story in a better way. Then he continues on saying, the story, in my opinion, of both the DLC are, in his opinion, way more in depth than it was in the base game, which of course is what we want from this, so I'm excited for that. Then he says that Chairman Rose and other important characters from the base game will have an influence in the DLC, but only an influence there, but there'll be many more new characters in the DLC, I guess, to take over the story parts and kind of eliminate the issue that existed with Sword and Shield's base story. So that in itself, again, sounds great. Next up, a room in the dojo in the Isle of Armor, which is yours, will be available to customize everything from wallpaper, furniture, and stuff like that. It is essentially your room. There'll be a rare hidden furniture hidden around the isle, and also one that you can buy for BP. So basically, you'll be able to get yourself items, and it'll be like a little secret base in this home, right? Unfortunately, there's not going to be an actual secret base, and they aren't bringing secret bases back, which I personally would love, but it does seem like we're going to have a dojo room, so to say, of our own, and maybe we can actually make it into a gym. I'm hoping for that. We can make it into a gym where our friends can join us in that gym. That would be really cool, and honestly, I'd love that, but the question really is that the case or is it not? Next, clothes and other customization options will also be available, as you guys have seen, but there are rare variants of clothes as well. So that's interesting. Rare clothing could be really cute to see. Then we have Game Freak wants to make people grind for nice things that are not perfect IV or shiny Pokemon. So I guess they're trying to say that they want people to grind for like what? Clothing, stuff like that, which I don't know like how much I like that idea. I mean, it's fine. It's not a bad thing, but whatever, graphics in the DLC are way better than what it was in the base game, which is really weird for me. So he's trying to say that. And then Meteor Dyna was and is real. So as you guys may remember, one of the real leaks back in the day, one of those leaks that was actually somewhat legit with a lot of its information, said it was going to be a Pokemon called Meteor Dyna, but it never actually showed up. We never actually saw it. And even if you look at the name, Meteor Dyna, Dynamax at the end of it, right? It makes sense. And it seems to be a reference to some sort of Meteor Dynamax, you know. So the likeliness of this thing being real is still possible, but I guess people just forgot about it. So here we have this rumor claiming that it's still real, and that's basically what we have in front of us, guys. So that is the general gist of it. That is the general rumor, and I want to go through now and just give my general thoughts on everything, okay? I just want to break down what my thoughts are on every aspect of this rumor and what I think about it. And if you guys want to stick by, that would be appreciated, and continue watching the rest of the video. But I just want to go through what I personally think about this whole rumor. So let's get started with that. So first things first has got to be the whole, like, 22 new Pokemon. Now, when I look at the amount of Pokemon that we have confirmed so far, right, the amount of Pokemon that we know we're going to be getting, I'm just kind of having a hard time imagining that that's all we're gonna get, but it isn't really that surprising at the same time, because if you look at the website for the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC, there's actually something there that kind of proves this to be the case, right? The proof that there's only gonna be maybe like 22 new Pokemon. And what is that? Well, when they mention like all these different features and stuff, they never actually mention new Pokemon. Like, it's not actually in one of the feature lists, right? It's not there. There's a list, like, you know, there's a total feature for, like, a singular feature for the Gigantamaxes for the starter Pokemon from Galar, but there's nothing for, like, new Galar Pokemon. There's nothing for new Pokemon in general. Like, there's nothing in terms of listings there for that, which gets me kind of worried, because I'd love there to be some information on how many new Pokemon we're gonna get. Like, that was the biggest problem with, like, Sword and Shield to begin with, was that the lack of information. The lack of what new Pokemon we're going to be getting and how many. Like, I just feel like this is one of those things where they should announce it ahead of time. And that's personally just my opinion. You can think differently. That's totally fine. But I find that, you know, announcing it ahead of time, letting people know that, hey, guess what? We're going to have this amount of Pokemon. This is what you're working with. This is what you're going to be able to catch, actually makes it far better. Then we also have the 10 hours of extra gameplay in both the DLCs. Now, I've got to be honest, this is fantastic if this is true. I'd love to have more hours to go through in this game and, like, not just be done within, like, literally 16 hours, which is what it essentially took to finish Sword and Shield. Like, it just wasn't that long, and it's mostly because the game is just got these very linear and not so much, you know, interesting routes to follow. Like, it's just straightforward. There's nothing really making it, any of it, interesting or challenging whatsoever. So I do hope that this region is going to, you know, get expanded upon and actually improved, and making the gameplay a lot better with these DLCs, because I mean, 10 hours of extra gameplay, that is good if this is true. That's got to be kept in mind. Now, this is another thing that gets me a little bit worried. This was originally planned to be a third Galar game, but the people at Nintendo said, let's try DLC. I'm wondering how these DLC will perform, like what the sales will be on these things. Like, we don't actually know the sales right now. We don't know how they're doing. And I think we'll know more about the sales once the investors meeting is actually happening. Because the investors meeting is going to make a lot of changes, and it's going to probably give us a lot more information about how Nintendo is performing, even how Game Freak is performing in terms of money and that sort of stuff. And if we know that they're doing good, bad, etc., that's going to really make a difference in, you know, what they are going to plan to do here. So again, another thing that should be kind of kept in mind. Then he points out here there's this brand new Pokemon, the Lacolo and Lassetti, which are essentially little ant-like creatures. I'm a bit excited for those. They also mentions the werewolf, which actually sounds like a cool idea. And I do like that there's no connection to Eternatus, Zacian, or Zamazenta, because they were kind of lackluster legendaries in general. I mean, Zacian, Zamazenta just weren't that fun. It was they were just kind of like pushed in your face throughout the whole like story. They were trying to make it like this non-mystery, right? Like, it was a mystery, but it wasn't really a mystery, because you already knew what you were gonna catch, because it's on the box cover. So didn't really make it that exciting. And Eternatus just wasn't that much fun, because it was just a generic giant blob in the sky, you know. So I'm hoping that these new things will be way more exciting, because just looking at the trailers for the DLC, they're offering far more exciting stuff. Then, of course, the interesting part here for me has got to be the dojo. I would love for some customization in a dojo, kind of like your own secret base. That to me would be honestly just fan-freaking-tastic. Like, it would genuinely be one of the coolest things ever if we got to have that again. I think Oras did that great back in the day. Oras had like one of the most fun things ever, which was the dojos. They were really enjoyable, really fun. I freaking love them. So I'd love to go through that same kind of process of making my own little, you know, like, you know, like, whatchamacallit, I guess, base of operation, right? And maybe even making your own little gym. That would be really fun. I hope they do that. I mean, I really hope they do that, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the end of the video, guys. If you did enjoy it, drop a like down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all next one. Have yourselves a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.